Welcome to Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash, sponsored by the UI Radio Network at uiradionetwork.org. Catch us on Facebook and Instagram at United Intentions and Twitter at Higher Intention. Look for us on 99.1 FM, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio, and many more. Over the next hour, we'll introduce you to some fascinating people and engaging discussions that may provide you with answers to assist in revolutionizing your own personal health. And now, here's Dr. Nelson.
Hey everybody, Dr. Nelson Bulmash here, the host of Health Matters on the UI Media Network. Really happy to be here with you on this very, very rainy, cold day here in Atlanta. It's funny. It's Tuesday. That means I'm going to get rained on the day of my show. I had a perfect haircut and style today, and I came in and I had to redo it. And I'm laughing because it's a rare day that I have such a phenomenon. I had assistance. I didn't do it by myself. Lisa Bryant, thank you. You're an amazing painter and you're an amazing hairstylist, beard and mustache trimmer. Kudos to you. Thank you for making me look my best. I have a very, very dear friend, somebody that one day I will be partners in crime with, I say affectionately, and we're going to do all kinds of projects in the future, from TV to more shows like this. We're very spoiled. We have an amazing guest today. So before I jump in, I want to ask you a question here. I'm going to ask you a few questions, actually. Are you having any trouble with fat loss that you just, no matter what you do, no matter what kind of exercise you do, no matter how you alter your diet, you can't seem to lose that unwanted weight, particularly around your midsection? How many of you, in addition to that, you may have brain fog, or you may have low energy, or you're just lackluster. You just don't shine anymore. You've lost your sparkle in life. Probably a lot of you. And I was there once too. So we're going to talk about a way that you can not just eat. I don't mean just a diet, so to speak here. I'm talking about a lifestyle today. And we're talking about the key here to this will be talked about in my friend Dr. Lori Shemek's new book, The Ketogenic Key. And I want to show you that right here. It's here. It's an amazing book. So this is what we're going to be referring to today. So if you haven't gotten a copy, go out and get it. I'm going to hold it for just a minute here. You see this? This is her fourth book, The Ketogenic Key. And I know I was for a long time, where I was a very high-level athlete. I started to get older. My metabolism slowed down. We're going to have a lot of those answers. We're going to talk about ways that you can feel better, you can think better, your mood will improve, your metabolic function will improve, you'll be less susceptible to many diseases, and you'll just look pretty. It's really that simple. You're going to look good because you're going to get rid of the things you don't need, like that central adiposity, that fat we accumulate around our organs and our midsection. But before we get started, it's incumbent upon me that I want to thank those people who support me. So for those of you listening in on WDJY FM 99.1 and WTTA 101.2 FM, thank you. I appreciate you allowing us to use your platform. I appreciate all my followers, my friends, my fans. Love you guys. Thank you for coming back every other week. As I promised, one of these days, I'll be back every week. So hang in there with me. By the way, if you're interested in our uncensored content, which is very important these days, we're at a point where Google censors, where Facebook censors, and years ago, I was really, really good about keeping articles of research, articles in magazines, papers that were really, really good. And then I thought, well, I can always look them up again. And well, those days are gone. Many times I try to find an article that I read a year ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, and somehow the internet has been scrubbed and I can't find much of what I used to rely on to educate people. So if you want to follow our uncensored material, our shows, our articles, anything we put out here at UI Media, please feel free to do so. Connect with us online. And if you want to connect with us online, we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spreaker, and all the major podcasting platforms. And if you want to follow me, I'm on the same ones. Just look me up, Dr. Nelson Bulmash. All right, my guest is the amazing Dr. Lori Shemek. She's a health expert. She has a Ph.D., a CNC, is a leading fat cell researcher, health expert, weight loss expert, keynote speaker, award-winning author, and recognized authority on inflammation and its role in weight loss, preventing disease, and optimizing health. Dr. Shemek is the best-selling author of How to Fight FATflammation, Fire Up Your Fat Burn, Beginner's Guide to Intermittent Fasting, and recently, the Ketogenic Diet. Dr. Lori Shemek has been featured in or on CBS, The Doctors TV, ABC TV show, Good Morning Texas. Health expert has been featured on CNN, Time, NPR, and Fox News. The Ricki Lake Show, Oprah.com, Dr. Oz's Good Life magazine, NBC Today, and many more. She is known as the Inflammation Terminator. I love that. She's made her mission to educate the public on the toxic effects of certain foods and lifestyle choices and how they create inflammation in their body, resulting in weight gain and poor health. Dr. Lori Shemek, it's a privilege and an honor. Thank you for joining me again here on Health Matters.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. It's so wonderful to have you, have me back again. So
Yes.
Thank you for that. Truly,
welcome.
I was looking forward to it.
I always look forward to collaborating with you, and I want to congratulate you. You sent me this. You're so fantastic.
Yes.
And as I was telling you, and I'll tell the rest of the world, I love your book so much. You have such a way
Thank you.
of, you're welcome, Lori, of finding out the key issues that have to be understood and then delivering the message in a way that we all understand it. In other words, I remember reading medical articles, and I know you do that too, and they can be really tedious. Like, honey, are you still reading that same article? Yes, but it's only been 3 hours. And Lori, so
what was that science?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And so, a lot of people don't understand when you start doing the technical research that you to write a book like this that is so easy to understand. You spend hours upon hours in research articles that would put the normal person to sleep by the third sentence.
Right.
Let's be real, right?
The nerd in me.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, I so honor you because I know how much time it takes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a collaboration between me and my co-author, Stephen Welch.
Right.
And he is a medical researcher. So lucky me, just happened to have that bonus built in, right?
You got to teach me the secret to getting somebody who's a medical researcher, because that's a game changer, Lori.
You didn't see it on Facebook?
No. I did, but it's just wonderful.
No, I'm teasing.
Yeah.
No, I was the bulletin. I need a medical researcher.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Lori, I missed that.
I'm teasing.
Yeah. But how amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I've actually been that person for other colleagues who have written
nice.
books. Yeah. Well,
yeah, of
nice
course
for them. I mean, it's a great experience, but Nelson, I need 20 or 30 articles on this particular topic, and I'm choosing you to be my man to find them.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
A year later.
Right, exactly, Lori. So, no, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is your fourth book.
Thank you.
All of which have been incredible. And I want to throw you one more compliment. When I met you, however many years ago it was, I'll never forget this.
Long time.
Yeah, you were so kind to me. You said, "Would you like a copy of my book?" And I thought, yes, I would. That would be amazing. Where should I send it? And you sent me a book like you didn't even know me. You just sent me a free copy of your book. And I thought, what an incredible person. Who does that?
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, and
thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Lori. That spoke. I never forgot that. I'm that person, Lori, that if someone shows kindness to me, I never take it for granted, and I never forget it. And that is
so sweet of you to bring that up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's you.
Yeah, it's like, we all, I always think like there was this, person who really didn't have the money, say, she lived in the UK and she wanted my book so badly.
Right.
Well, I sent it to her, right? Because I think that people need the knowledge, and I think it's really important that they, so I think a lot of people do that. You did that with me as well.
Yes.
With your nutrition classes. So,
yes, exactly. Well, you and I both believe this. Goodness always comes back around. My my friends have fits with me because I drive a Ford F-150 pickup truck, and my Adidas sweatpants have shallow pockets. So I'm the absent-minded professor. I'm thinking about how do I resolve this metabolic problem in this patient who's dealing with this and this complex issue. And I'll step up in my truck and my wallet will fall out. And it drives my friends crazy. They're like, Nelson, you got to start paying attention. And then all of a sudden, somebody will come in my office and say, is there a Dr. Bulmash that works here? Yes, I'm that person. Oh, sir, your wallet dropped out of your pocket when you were getting in your truck at LA Fitness. I wanted to bring it to you. I thought it'd be important. And everybody looks around and scratches their heads and says, only you, Nelson. Only you. But Lori, what goodness you put.
Funny.
But it's the truth. What goodness you put out in the world eventually comes
Thank
back to you. And you are the steward of goodness in the world.
So kind.
You have helped.
Well, I'm looking in the mirror because I think that you are. I truly believe that. So,
that's why we like each other so much.
That's why we're friends.
That's why we're friends. Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Lori, I want to ask you something. Yeah. One of the things that's so fun for me when I have a friend like you or when I engage somebody on my show is what inspires them. Lori, you keep coming out with great book after great book. What inspired you to write The Ketogenic Key?
Well, it's really they've coined me the Inflammation Terminator for a good reason, because my whole focus throughout my career has been really getting to the heart of low-level inflammation in the body, because I knew that was the key.
Yes.
Pardon the pun, to optimizing health, right? Optimizing cellular health. And if we look beyond just the word health, if we dig deep into cellular health, then we know we've got the key. And so I knew way back then that that was the most important direction for the general public.
Right.
And so that is my mission, is to, when I have a client, if I have anybody, my readers, anybody that I'm talking to, speaking, I always make sure they understand in simple terms what that inflammation is doing to their body.
Yeah, beautiful. So let's talk about this. This is such an interesting subject to me, because you really, you're like the carpenter who has the perfect strike of the hammer to the nail. You ever seen a carpenter work, like a really skilled carpenter, and he takes a nail, Lori, taps in slightly, and then one hit strikes the nail completely through the boards that he's trying to attach. That's you with regard to getting at the core root of disease. And so I just fell in love with your book. Your book is going to be one of those that I put on my desk, and I'm just periodically going to pick it up and read a few pages, right? Does that make sense?
I love that. Yeah, because I have it right here, and you can see it's a big one. I mean, there's a lot of research in the back, and it's annotated, and it's there's descriptions of every single piece of research that we base the book on.
Right.
So
love that.
Which makes it easier for people who really want to, who have that nerd gene.
Yes, let's dive in and reread all the references that you went through to come up with your conclusions. I get it. Now, I'm not that, but I'm glad we have people like that. They're important so that we can continue doing the work that we do. So Lori, what I want to hear? Yeah, exactly. I know you love it because it allows you to produce these amazing books.
Right.
So, let's talk about ketogenesis. Why is it so important? Why is it so relevant today?
Because what's going on with the general public in our society is that the average intake of carbohydrate grams, the average is 300 grams of carbs a day, right?
Wow.
And it's derived mostly from poor choices. Yeah. And even if it's not, it's still an excess amount. And so when you think about what that is doing, and I can go into all of the reasons why, it is a serious inflammatory problem. It's, as we know, it's promoting leptin resistance, it's promoting insulin resistance, and the list goes on. So when you get into ketosis, for example, what you're doing is you're reducing your carbohydrate load so low that the body is then forced to find other energy sources, which of course would be your body fat or your dietary fat, right? Yeah. And so when you do that, it's wonderful, because everything we eat is really metabolized into glucose for the most part. And that's, if you look at a hybrid car, for example, the analogy of the hybrid car is that the gas-powered engine is producing a lot of toxins.
Yes.
You know, the gasoline exhaust, right?
I hate
It's
to say
murky.
this. Forgive me, Lori. My engineer is saying, Nelson, I'm sorry. I know this is fast. We've got to take our first commercial break, Lori. Let's pick this up. We'll talk about the hybrid car as soon as we get back.
Absolutely.
Folks, I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to another edition of Health Matters, and we're talking about my very dear friend, Lori Shemek's new book, The Ketogenic Key, as seen in my hand here. We'll be right back.
This is Kurt Arsenault of Arsenault Advisory Group. Most of us never think we'll get divorced. Unfortunately, half of marriages will end in divorce. Children are always the first priority, but getting your finances in order will need to be addressed. The first step is to get an assessment of where you are financially. Will you keep your home? Do one or both of you have a 401k or pension? Who will pay for the kids' college education? Will you split your debt liabilities? These are just a few things to consider when thinking about divorce. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com and download our free ebook titled 6 Things to Do Before You Get Divorced. Don't wait. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com today.
Are you tired of fake news? Then head to Jekyll Island, Georgia on October 10th and 11th for the Red Pill Expo. The purpose of this is to help truth seekers understand how the world really works. Contrary, in many cases, to commonly held illusions. Go to uimedianetwork.org and register today. All right, I'm back, Lori. Forgive me. I always hate interrupting you because you're one of those people that everything you say is like you want to hold on to it. So I interrupted you, Lori. We were talking about if you were driving a hybrid car.
Repetition is important, right?
Yes.
So I always think people need to hear things over and over anyway. So here I go. So there is the hybrid car analogy and regarding ketosis. And so if you look at glucose, which is in most of the food that we eat, is metabolized into glucose, blood sugar. And this type of this metabolism of this glucose from the mitochondria in our cells is creating a lot of muck, like dirty gasoline exhaust in the body, right? And so when the ketones that are produced via a very low carb diet, or even a low carb diet sometimes, is a much cleaner source of fuel. Right. And this type of fuel the body loves because there's less inflammation, it's readily available. The brain loves ketones, for example. It loves glucose too, but it can perform optimally on both, Yes, right. And we always have a reserve of glucose anyway. So when you decide that, say, you want to drop your carbohydrates down to 50 grams or less a day, which is a lot, because 1 cup of pasta is 45 grams. And so it's a dramatic drop for most people, the average American, for example. And so that then you've got a very clean burning source of fuel. And so what happens when you do that is the fat in your body, or the dietary fat, is metabolized by the liver into ketones and acetoacetate, acetate, or beta hydroxybutyrate, BHB as it's normally referred. Right. And that's the granddaddy. Yes. And that one does so much good in the body. It is unbelievable. So if you want a wish list, that's it. That's what ketosis does for you. And that's ketosis. So
beautiful. Thank you. So in other words, those of you who are really interested in cleaning up your brain fog, decreasing your inflammation, losing unwanted weight, put a BHB on your wish list for your next birthday, Hanukkah, Christmas. Just saying. By the way, I wanted to ask you this, Lori, and I'm jumping ahead. Yeah. Is there a particular company that you find really makes what are called exogenous ketones, like that they're really, really good?
Yes, it's called Prove It. And I use them myself, and it's so exogenous ketones is another way. If you don't want to do the ketogenic diet, you can drink these exogenous supplement. It's a supplement of ketones, right? And it gets you into ketosis in under 30 minutes, which is fantastic. Yeah. And it provides energy, appetite control. And anyway, it's just something that it's just a choice. So in my book, I talk about different ways to achieve ketosis.
Right.
One is the ketogenic diet. And as I said, many people find it off-putting initially,
Yes.
but it's absolutely wonderful. Okay. And I don't recommend being in ketosis 24/7 because you want the body to be metabolically flexible. And that means your cells you're able to use ketones or glucose for fuel, right?
Right.
When you have that, you are just like a prime human being, really,
Yes.
when you can do that. So athletically speaking, you're great, when you have that ability. But then, the exogenous ketones, they're everywhere. You can find them everywhere. And they're really a good addition, like, for example, before you work out. If you find yourself hungry, but if you're not on the ketogenic diet, you probably will tend to be hungry, like most people, a lot.
Yes.
And so these ketones really tamp down on your appetite. And again, in terms of inflammation, which we can go over, ketones, actually exogenous ketones, tamp down on this low grade inflammation.
Right. It's beautiful. I was laughing a moment ago because I bought some ketones recently again. And, what's so difficult for me is I know, like, of course you do, that intermittent fasting, for example, is really amazing. It causes increased brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps to reformat, remodel the brain, repair the brain. And so I know how valuable that is. And it's so hard when you work out hard because it never fails. 11 o'clock at night, I'm looking at the clock going, I'm really, really, really hungry. And so what I've started to do is I've started to take exogenous ketones.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a really great tip for your audience. Yeah.
Yes.
It is really the way to go. It really is.
Well, I'm actually sleeping through the night instead of thinking about, what do I want to go down and raid from the kitchen or the pantry?
And also, that's another good point. They help you, being in ketosis helps you sleep.
Yes, exactly.
You get better quality sleep. Yeah. Yeah. And so intermittent fasting, you mentioned, that's one form. Mm-hmm. So exercise, if you exercise in the right way, you will absolutely get into ketosis. Yeah. And so you can do the ketogenic diet, you can do intermittent fasting and the keto diet. You can do supplementation when you want, or every day if you want.
Yes.
And then exercise. You can do it all. And you'll really be rocking if you do.
It's funny. I have to share this with you. I was at Crunch today, and it's interesting because sometimes I train at LA Fitness, and it's a fantastic gym. This is not a jab. One of my very good friends is the manager of LA Fitness. It's a great club. It has everything you need, but it kind of caters to a lot of older people. I think the average age there is 50 or 55. And every once in a while, I want to rock with the younger people. And so you go to Crunch, which is another wonderful gym, and the music is popping and people are moving, and there are a lot of young people, and they're really kicking it out at the gym. And today was one of those days I thought, I'm going to add some exogenous ketones, and I'm going to rock my step at the gym. And I know that some of those young folks were going, man, what's up with this old guy over here? He's hitting it today. Yeah, you.
Right?
I'm giving it to you right here, buddy.
That's so funny.
No, it's the truth.
Truth.
I was really, it's like I'm almost 60. And,
that is great, Nelson.
When I'm in the gym, I still push it like I'm, 20-ish, 30. And I take no prisoners.
That's fantastic.
It's like that 125 is my dumbbell. Keep your hands off of it, man.
And those exogenous ketones, it goes up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I felt fantastic.
So when you get into ketosis, what's happening is you're doing an incredible service to your body in terms of keeping that inflammation away. And I can talk about the different forms of inflammation if you want.
Love to.
Because I think it's important for people to know there are different types. And so the first type we all know very well. Yes. It is acute inflammation. It hurts. It's uncomfortable. We don't like it. Right. It's that swollen black and blue sprained ankle, that head cold. That's acute inflammation. It's like when you cut your finger, right? So let's take that cut on the finger. When you cut your finger, an enormous amount of inflammatory molecules are released.
Yes.
And soldiers rush to the site, if you will, to heal the wound. They heal the wound. The soldiers go away. The inflammation goes away, and all is well. We need it. All inflammation, all of it, is an immune response, right? So acute inflammation is necessary. We're sitting ducks without it. Now, the next type of inflammation is called chronic or silent inflammation. And this type is the core underlying cause of most illness, disease, faster aging, and weight gain even. So it's diseases like heart disease, cancer, diabetes,
kidney disease,
rheumatoid arthritis, Alzheimer's, you name it. It's almost every disease and illness. And it's like having a sore on the inside of your body that never heals.
Yeah, beautifully
put. You don't really know it's there until the symptoms begin, right?
Yes.
And that's why the name silent in the name itself is scary, because 75%, you're unaware of it. 75% of our country is walking around with it and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
But the good news is that we can live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. And that includes choosing anti-inflammatory foods to eat. It's what you eat and when you eat that matters most. Okay. And I'm a firm believer in intermittent fasting. We haven't talked about that yet, but that's one of the ways to get into ketosis as well. And so all of these choices really help protect you from this low-grade inflammation and help you reverse it as well.
Beautiful.
And it's very important to know that. And then there's another type that is called fat cell inflammation that people really don't realize is happening in their body. And so when we ingest the types of foods that cause inflammation in the body, one, for example, are refined processed cooking oils, such as corn oil, canola oil,
soy.
And vegetable, which there are no vegetables in vegetable oil.
Yeah, thank you.
It's causing literally condensed inflammation. And so when you ingest these types of oils, there's a compound called arachidonic acid that is manufactured and stored within the fat cell. Well, the fat cell not only doesn't like all the excess bloating from all the foods and the glucose, et cetera, and fat that are producing a larger fat cell, but it now is beginning to act as if it's sick or infected and begins to secrete these inflammatory molecules very slowly. Unlike acute inflammation, silent inflammation and this silent inflammation in the fat cell secrete just a trickle. And you would think, well, that's better, right? Because just a trickle, but it isn't, because it goes on 24/7, unbeknownst to you. And so very important that people know that. Yeah.
Lori, I want to speak to that for a moment, because one of the things that I did, I'm that person who reads. If someone's going to be on my show, I actually read their book. If they have videos, I watch their videos. And so I started probably 4 to 6 weeks ago getting into a state of ketosis and training in a state of ketosis. And I want...
great.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. Not only do I want you to hear this, I want the audience to hear this. I've spoken many times that I have an autoimmune problem, and it creates a lot of nagging chronic pain, whether I'm sleeping and I wake up because of it, whether I'm working out and I'm held back a set, or maybe 10 or 20 pounds less that I have to use because my shoulder or my knee or my ankle hurt too much to extend myself beyond a certain point. I noticed something that you spoke to a moment ago, and I want to be really clear with everybody. It was really very exciting for me today because pain didn't stop me in this workout.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Do you understand?
That's good news.
Yeah, pause and think about
the inflammation.
Yeah, because when you have a bad autoimmune disease like I do, you live in a really pretty, I made it a point many years ago to say, no, we're not going to destroy the intestinal tract, the liver, and the kidneys through pain medication, which is very easy to do. I've known and countless people, and I'm sure you have too, that have really damaged themselves. And it's very hard when you're in, chronic pain. Got it. We got to take a break here in 1 second, but I want to finish this quick thought.
Okay.
So here I was really pushing hard and connecting. You know that connection you get, Lori, whether it's weights, whether it's running, whether it's yoga, where it's the perfect union of whether it's your stride in running, whether it's an asana in yoga, whether it's you're picking up a certain amount of weight or you're repping a certain amount, and you just feel that pure, spirited connection.
So good.
Yeah. So, folks,
that's wonderful
thank
news.
You, Lori.
That is,
yeah.
And
I want to
thank you for sharing.
Oh, absolutely. It was unbelievable. I got done and I thought, I have no pain. Folks, we'll be right back. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to another edition of Health Matters.
Hey guys, I'm Shannon McVeigh.
And I'm Tim Ray.
And we are Awaken Atlanta, here to invite you to the Red Pill Expo 2020.
At Jekyll Island this year in Georgia on October 10th and 11th. My God, guess what we're going to have there?
Like huge speakers besides yourself. Tim Ray is going to be speaking. Also Del Bigtree.
Yes, Edward Griffin. Alex Newman. Yes,
the guy that made the Plandemic movie.
Mickey. Shannon and I will be there. And the UI Media team. We're covering the whole event. And I'm going to guess what I'm going to be talking about.
What?
What do I do every day?
Oh gosh, you're a truth seeker.
Yes.
Making the world a better place.
But I'm also going to talk about waking up the masses, the sleeping masses. Everybody's wearing masks in their sleep. We're going to wake you up.
All right, guys, so Google Red Pill Expo and join us.
Join us and do not miss this event.
Together, us truth seekers will find out how the world really works.
All right, I'm back. Tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. ET for Frequency Wars, where you hear about things they will not tell you in the mainstream media. All right, Lori, I'm back. So, Lori, I want to sum this up so we're clear that everybody follows. So, we're talking about the tremendous benefit of burning ketones, and we can do that in 4 different ways. We have exercise, we have intermittent fasting, we have exogenous ketones, and did I say diet?
No, but
diet.
Ketogenic diet, right?
Ketogenic diet. So we have ketogenic diet, exercise, exogenous, ketones,
and intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting. Yeah.
Yes.
Glad I can count to 4 still.
Right. Exactly. What else will 2020 bring us?
Yes. I keep waiting, Lori. I forgive me. You got to sometimes have a little levity here and laugh. I keep waiting for somebody to say over the speaker, "Congratulations, you have now just passed Jumanji level 7."
Right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I mean, sorry, forgive me for anybody like really suffering out there. I apologize. I'm not trying to make fun of you, but it's a little like crazy, like we're playing a game crazy.
But yeah, and it's, and the thing about it is that if you can get to the root of poor health, if we can really mitigate it, and no matter what condition you're in right now, no matter where you're at, inflammation wise, what you really can do something about it and help it.
Right.
Nelson, your story you just shared is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
And it's what's happening is the cell, when it has everything it needs to do its job, then the body can really focus on healing.
Right.
And it doesn't, depending on your health condition, it doesn't happen overnight. But if you're consistent with the choices that you make, the healthy choices, then everything changes for you. And, the one thing that's important for people to know is that our mitochondria in our cells, when they eat the standard American diet, they degrade. These mitochondria are the little organelles that really run that create the energy in our body, right? ATP.
Right. Yep.
And it's crucial. They keep us alive. It's crucial that they're healthy and that we have a lot of them. Well, what makes them healthy? The ketogenic diet does, because the mitochondria love ketones. They love generating ATP from ketones.
Well, they burn so cleanly.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of oxidative refuse. Yes, exactly.
And with intermittent fasting, you enter a state of autophagy, which really does erase all the damage that we've done to our bodies in the past if you do it regularly.
Talk a little bit about that, Lori. Forgive me for interrupting, but let's tell everybody what that is. A lot of people still don't know what autophagy is.
Yeah. So when you, for example, are not eating for a certain period of time, and you enter autophagy at any point in your day, but really you hit it hard when you start fasting 14 to really the sweet spot is 18 hours or beyond. But nonetheless, you're still using autophagy. And what that is simply doing is it's house cleaning of the cell.
Yeah.
Because when we're eating 24/7, we're in a chronically fed state here.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Our cells are constantly, our mitochondria are constantly being bombarded with all of this metabolism of glucose, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is causing a lot of trouble for us health-wise. And so when we stop that, what we're doing is we're giving the cells time then to do what they normally can't do, which is clean house.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
getting rid of all the muck and the junk within the cell, and also it's getting rid of dying cells within our body that are just kind of hanging around. They're also called zombie cells that give off. That give off a false distress signal, like and all the other cells are distressed, and so it causes much inflammation in the body.
Right.
And science right now is working on ways to get rid of these senescent cells. And once they do, we're going to be very happy people because we'll be healthier, we'll be happier. There are some supplements that you can take, but they're not as therapeutic as you would as if you had, say, something created to do that via research.
Research, right. Lori, let's actually talk a little bit about, because actually a lot of people, when you say intermittent fasting, they know that it means an absence of eating for a period of time, but there are really a number of different kinds of intermittent fasting. Let's talk about those.
Sure. Yeah, there's different kinds. So you can do 12 hours of not eating and 12 hours of eating. That's called 12-12. So what's really great about fasting is if you can do the majority of it while you're sleeping, right?
Yes.
So say your last meal is at 7 at night,
right?
Then your next meal is at 7 in the morning. How easy is that? 12 hours of fasting is fantastic for the body. And we've all done it. We've all, had to wait 12 hours to have that fasting blood test, right?
Yes.
We've waited, we didn't eat breakfast to meet our friends for brunch. That's fasting. So you don't even have to do 12. So what I'm saying is just not eating. And then you can do 16-8 seems to be the most popular way to go. Right. And I highly recommend it because then you get into some autophagy there. And you're slowing aging, you're creating more mitochondria, biogenesis, and you are boosting your immune system. You're preserving muscle mass. People think that you're losing muscle, but you're really not. You actually preserve it, especially with a ketogenic diet. And you're promoting better brain health, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
So literally, again, that wish list we all want, it is with ketosis. And so the next type of intermittent fasting would be one meal a day, or OMAD for short, one meal a day.
Yep.
And so a lot of people like that. They just eat one meal a day. And then you can do 5-2. You can, eat 5 days and fast 2 different days whole days during the week, right? So 48 hours if you want. And you can do whatever you want. Some people do a water fast. I've never done that. So I don't,
I've found that extremely difficult. If you're a busy person, like I'm seeing patients all day, adjusting them, doing muscle testing, soft tissue work, and for me to think about a water fast, not so much.
That's because you need the extra energy. You definitely need, you do. And so, when you go on a ketogenic diet or you're doing intermittent fasting, you are doing really beneficial things for yourself and your body. And I really can't stress enough the, for example, the cellular health. We talked about the mitochondrial, but we didn't talk about the cell membrane and the importance of the cell. And just simply that is just that if you take care of your health from the perspective of creating better cellular health, you are also at the same time creating a better cellular membrane, which is very thin, and it allows nutrients to go in and out, to go into the cell, and the bad stuff to get out of the cell, right? That's the role of the membrane. And it's very, very important that it's healthy. And so again, those fats we talked about, those unhealthy inflammatory fats, again, the corn, the vegetable, the soy, which the soy, by the way, research just came out showing that soy, which is in almost every single product out there manufactured, is promoting poor brain health. Okay, so just for people to know that.
Oh, thank you, Lori.
And canola oil is another one.
Yeah.
And
Whole Foods still puts canola oil in everything.
Oh, everything you would think.
I told them 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I said to them,
I have too.
What in the world? Why do you still have canola? Come on, guys, catch up.
Because it's cheap.
Yeah, that's right.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
That's why all these oils are used. And they know if people knew how these oils were processed, they're deodorized because they smell to high heaven, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's just beyond ridiculous. So the types of fats that you eat. So if you eat healthy fats like avocado oil, olive oil, butter, for example,
Thank you for bringing up
healthy
butter.
fat.
Yes.
Yeah. You want healthy fats in your diet. Your cell membrane stores whatever type of fat that you ingest. So if you're ingesting those unhealthy oils, for example, you're creating a rigid cellular matrix, which means that the nutrients can't get in and out as easily.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I wanted to make sure we hit that because eating trans fats, I remember one of my biochemistry professors 29 years ago said, Nelson, you know, one of the primary reasons you don't ever want hydrogenated oils that have trans fats is because they make the membranes rigid. And when they're rigid, you can't get the beautiful movement of the proteins that penetrate the biphospholipid layer so you can dock larger and smaller molecules. And so this is one of the reasons you get such hormonal dysregulation. You get... Sorry.
Oh, no, keep going. I love this.
So, you know, you have people who have anxiety, people who have depression, and nobody can get rid of it because you don't have proper dynamics of the cellular membrane. So I'm so happy we're talking about cell membrane health. So critical.
Yeah, that is. A lot people usually don't touch on this subject, and I think it's super important that people know it. When you look at your health from a cellular perspective, as I keep saying, then if you really truly believe it, I should say, then you begin to look at your food differently. You look at the food that you put into your body differently. So, for example, when you eat sugar, it causes glycation, right? It's because there's it's a glycating effect, which sugars and proteins come together and they create this chemical reaction. And this stiffens the proteins, not just on your skin, causing wrinkles and sagging skin, but inside the body as well.
And it's irrevocable. The damage, folks, it's irrevocable. Once the cells are destroyed by this, that cell's gone.
And so, and sugar directly harms those mitochondria I was referring to. So we don't want to grow old and frail. We want to grow older, but youthfully. And we want to be happy and have a quality of life, you know. And so the Ketogenic Key talks about that, talks about aging, longevity, and all of these things we've talked about today so far have pointed to longevity as well.
I want to say that again, ideally many, many more times. This is such an incredible book here that the two, both Lori Shemek and Steve Welch, combined their efforts on. It's called the Ketogenic Key. Folks, make sure you go out and get it. It's really incredible. And you know, Lori, you always hit on so many critical things. You're one of my dear friends who, like, I'm going to call Lori. She'll know this because you really are the tip of the spear.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You keep ahead of everything. Like you follow it so closely. No wonder you're considered, you know, the number one health influencer in the country and certain platforms because you really are. You are always looking at the direction that we're going, whether it's biochemically, whether it's metabolically, whether it's nutritionally, and I really, really appreciate that about you. Lori,
well, thank you.
You're so welcome. I want to bring something up that I talked about a long time ago. I used to get in really bad arguments when I was attending the University of Michigan on this. I said, I don't believe this notion in statistics. We had this idea that everything falls under a bell-shaped curve. And I said, not buying it, guys, not buying it. And it got me a lot of heat for a lot of years. And my position, and we're talking the better part of 35 to 40 years ago, was simply this. I said, look, guys, if you buoy up the metabolic weaknesses, the immunological weaknesses of the body, you give the body what it needs, it will not follow a bell-shaped curve progression to death. Meaning...
Thank you. Yeah.
And I've said this, Lori, I have said this for over 30 years. That
They're listening now.
Yes. I'm not kidding you, by the way. I mean this. I mean, I got in really brutal arguments with professors and with students like, Nelson, that's just stupid. Everybody knows that everything biological in nature follows the bell-shaped curve distribution. So halfway through life, we plummet to death. Oh, I'm being told I've got to take a quick break. Lori, we'll be right back.
Okay.
We'll finish this thought, okay?
Okay.
Folks, I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to another episode of Health Matters, and my guest is Dr. Lori Shemek, and we're talking about her new book, The Ketogenic Key.
Hi, I'm Greta Full, president of Golden Home Services, a premier private home care service for seniors in Georgia for almost 2 decades now. We all have parents, and I know I love my parents more than anything else in this world. And because of that, Golden Home Services makes sure we care for your parents as if they were our parents. Call 678-242-0084 anytime, or visit goldenhomeservices.com to select from our range of affordable home care services.
All right, folks, we're back for the last segment of my show, Health Matters. Are you ready to build the life of your dreams? Join master coach and author Jessica Joins, host of Soul Purpose, to get your most important soul purpose questions answered. Simply write to her at contact@uimedianetwork.org to tell her what you're struggling with, and you might get a chance to be featured on Jessica's show live. Lori, I want to touch base on this because it's so important to me. I remember being that person, and you're the same type of person, meaning you're always like, is that perspective, is that ideology really valid? And I just knew, and I couldn't prove it through biochemistry. I certainly couldn't prove this. Like I said, Lori, this was, 1980, I think 1982-ish. And so there wasn't research out on this, but I just knew the idea made sense to me, Lori, that if we really took care of the cells, that the collective would be that we'd have one healthy cell that would create healthy tissues that would create a healthy body. And unfortunately, once again, I made a mistake. I read an article put out by a professor who I believe was at Stanford back in the 90s, and he called this the square model of life. And I read it, and his idea was simply this. He said, looking at people who led lives where they buoyed up the weakest elements of their life, they did not follow, I will repeat, they did not follow a bell-shaped curve distribution model of life and living. He said what ended up happening is they went up, they achieved an optimal point of health, they held it for the duration of their life, albeit it wasn't a linear connection from high point metabolically, immunologically of life, but it was essentially a sinusoidal wave, meaning, I got in a car accident, my health is going to be depleted a little bit. I got a case of the flu, so I'm going to go down. So he said it was like a sinusoidal wave going from point A, maximized point, to end point of life. And he said it was close enough that over time it looked essentially like a linear relationship, though it really wasn't. And he said what happened to these people is, if we imagine, I know this is rectangular, but we go through life, he said eventually what happened, Lori, is people simply died. They died of a heart attack. They had, died of a stroke. They had very limited time in a state afflicted by disease. And that's that's really what you're talking about. That's your whole book.
Exactly.
Is that square model of life and living.
It really is. Yeah. And that, I love that you shared that, Nelson. And that's exactly what literally I've been saying for years, is that, again, looking at our health from a cellular perspective,
right?
It really, you're giving your cells everything they need in order to thrive. Yeah. And that's what we need. We can't, maybe escape one thing or another, but we can always bounce back, like you were saying. Right. And that's because the cells have what they need. They're getting what they need. Yeah.
There's so many things here I want to talk to you about. Let's do this, Lori. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about how this kind of living, this kind of lifestyle, maintaining a state of ketosis, at least periodically, influences your brain activity, for example. My understanding is, in other words, that it actually can decrease your risk of neurodegenerative diseases like dementia, like Parkinson's. You want to talk about that? Want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. Yeah. And so when we are in ketosis, we are tamping down on a very nasty inflammasome, for the most part, called NLRP3, right?
Right.
And it is it's around us all the time. And so what we want to do is want to keep that as low as possible, not upregulate this signaling molecule. And so what happens is, though, in the brain, when we're in ketosis, that inflammation isn't allowed to happen, that type of inflammation with that inflammasome, right? And so it's really a great way to protect your brain from Alzheimer's, from dementia. It actually, we don't really know for sure. The studies aren't out that it actually can cure Alzheimer's disease, but we do know at this point in time that people with Alzheimer's who can eat a ketogenic diet, for example, which is very rare, but the ones who have been able to have they present with much better symptomology. So they're not, they're not as bad off as they were initially.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And also, too, we don't know yet if we can stop the progression of Alzheimer's, but if you're doing everything you can to prevent inflammation in the body, you're not eating sugar, right? Which they think might be related to Alzheimer's as well. There's a lot of different theories about what may cause Alzheimer's disease. And one of them is called the type 3 diabetes theory that is, this glucose, the brain becomes really insulin resistant, if you will, to the glucose that is not being utilized.
Not effectively going into the cells.
Right.
Well,
you said it.
Exactly. One of the things, Lori, that's so difficult about diseases like dementia, and there's a doctor, I think he was out at UCLA, he may be independent now, who wrote a book, I believe it's called The Cure for Dementia, The Cure for Alzheimer's. Great book. And he said he was approached by the pharmaceutical industry, and they wanted to work with him on creating a drug. And he said, that's not going to happen. And they said, what do you mean? How is it possible it can't happen? And if I'm not mistaken, at that point, Lori, he had figured out 32 different pathways that all led to dementia.
Oh, yeah, that Dr. Dale Bredesen.
Yes, Bredesen. Yes, thank you. And that makes a lot of sense because we live in a world where, 12, 15 or more years ago, the EPA said, hey, there are over 80,000 potential carcinogens in the air that we breathe. And so, this is a multifactorial process, meaning there's so many things. I think we get locked down, not you and me, but I think particularly researchers get a little mired down in Lori, trying to find a single path to something that's multivariable in nature. And as such, there isn't going to be a single answer to how to get rid of something as complicated as dementia, right? But your idea of giving the brain the cleanest fuel you can, for example, and the nootropics as well. I think that if you carry one of the APOE3/4 gene, etc., it behooves you not to eat sugar and to take maybe lion's mane mushroom or something to that effect, right? To help stave it off. And then doing the intermittent fasting as well, and increasing brain-derived neurotrophic factors.
Ketosis,
yeah. Well, I think we can solve all the problems of the world, Lori.
I'm done.
I think
you don't need me anymore.
I always need you, Lori. You're always fantastic.
You're wonderful.
You're always
Same
amazing
here.
to spend time with.
Too.
But I love getting together with you for many reasons, and one of which is, we have the ability to sort of scan out and say, well, we got a relationship to this problem and this problem and this problem, and we don't get stuck on that it's one, there's one variable we have to attend to. Right. Yeah, I think you're right. There's that monovision that people have. And it's, like Dr. Dale Bredesen, he says it's like a roof with many holes that we need to plug up those holes,
And so, for example, exercise is one to stop Alzheimer's. Again, supplements, etc. I mean, just the different types of holes in the roof that we need to stop from the leaking, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heavy metals he talks about. He talks about chemicals that are toxic, deficiency of nutrients because the soil's so depleted, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, that's a huge one. That is huge. And that's why I highly recommend people do supplementation. For example, magnesium, since we're talking about brain health. Right. It's huge. It is huge. It's huge in terms of helping mitochondria out within your body, your cellular health again, reducing inflammation. You need it for brain health. I think you and I discussed one time about the magnesium threonate.
Yes.
That is excellent for brain health.
Crosses the blood-brain barrier. The only proven source of magnesium to cross the blood-brain barrier. Yes. Yes, we did. You have a great memory. I wonder why that is. Lori, it's so funny. After my daughter got married recently, June 12th of this year.
Oh, I know. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. It was such an incredible experience. Yeah. And for the dinner afterwards was remarkable. And my kid said to me, Dad, we want you to know that we all want to have our kids about the same time. We want to rear them at the same time together so they all know each other really well. And we want to buy a big tract of land, probably in North Carolina. We'd like you and Mom to be there. And I said, done, sold, I'm there. When does it start? And so, I don't know when it'll happen, but I fell in love with the idea that my kids are so close that they...
What a beautiful state as well.
And they, right. And they said, listen, we want to raise our own animals. We want to have a large tract of land, hopefully, 1 to 400 acres. And we want to be able to grow a lot of our own food. And we want to live in a place that's very clean, like maybe not in the mountains necessarily, but close to the mountains or close to the ocean. And we want to create, they were saying it playfully, the Bulmash compound.
Yeah. That says so much about you both.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
As parents, it says a lot about you guys. Yeah.
But don't you love that idea?
Oh, I just think it's wonderful. Although, I don't know about my family.
well, here's what I'm thinking. They're probably not watching the show tonight. I'm thinking, how about we get enough land that if we have some friends that want to move
100 acres apart. Yeah, we could do that.
It's so funny because my youngest daughter, Sophie, said, I need a little bit of space from everybody.
Yeah.
Said, what does that mean, honey? Like we live at the front of the complex, you live at the back? She said, yeah, something like that would work.
That's so cute.
She's adorable.
She really is.
Yes.
And beautiful. Your whole family is just beautiful.
Thank you. So, Lori, a couple more things. Let's talk about, what I need to steal you for 4 hours. You know what I want to do with you, Lori? I want to create a series with you where we have, maybe 6 hours worth of material. That's what I want to do with you.
Oh, that would be fun.
We're going to talk about that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. It's a deal.
This is no fair. This is just I'm told I have 2 minutes left, Lori. So I'm going to give you 1 minute and then I'll take the last to close out the show. We call this, I don't know if you remember this, we call final thoughts. What are your final thoughts about the topic of ketogenesis and living in a state of ketosis through the very strategies we talked about?
I think it's a really important and healthy choice. And I underscore the word choice because every day we're presented with different choices in our life. And that truly, it's not an overnight transformation in becoming a healthier person, although in some cases, many it is.
Yes.
But it is something that you will never regret. Your life will be changed forevermore. Yeah. And like you said, the linear path is there for you. Not the bell-shaped curve.
Yes.
Curve.
Yeah, get to the top of it. And you're sliding. That's okay. I understand. Where you're sliding down, the slide to death. Yeah.
Like we don't want that.
No, we're going to do the square model of life.
Cellular health.
Cellular health. Go team. All right, Lori, hang on for 1 second. I got to close out the show, and then I hope I get a few minutes with you, if that's okay.
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much again. Dr. Lori Shemek, get her book, please, The Ketogenic Key, that she wrote with the support of Stephen Welch, who is a researcher. I got 30 seconds left. Folks, I'm going to be on the Holly Emery Show this Thursday at 3:30. We'll post that interview later that afternoon. It'll be on Spotify, Anchor, Apple, and Google. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. And then in 2 weeks, I have the amazing Maria Angelova, who's just a remarkable person. She's a life coach and a Pilates queen, and really blends those two to create a mind-body experience that tends to bring forth the people that she teaches, that she coaches, into a state of wellness and prosperity. Join me in 2 weeks at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and remember, always be your best.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash, where we help you discover how to ignite your mind, body, and spirit connection. Join us next time when we will bring you more exciting guests and engaging topics. Meanwhile, feed your mind, exercise your body, and nurture your spirit. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.